Hey, 49ers faithful. Today we are diving deep into the latest game of our San Francisco 49ers. And let me tell you, it was a roller coaster of emotions from start to finish. I want to take you through the moments that mattered, the plays that made you cheer, the mistakes that made your heart sink, and some of the nuances that might not make the headlines, but are absolutely critical when evaluating this team's performance. Now, right off the bat, this game was a mixed bag. There were moments where I felt really encouraged and moments where I was left scratching my head, wondering how certain decisions were made. The injuries, unfortunately, played a role in shaping the way this game unfolded, and we saw a few players stepping in for the first time in critical moments. But despite that, there were plenty of positives to take away that show this team has potential even when things don't go perfectly. Let's start with the offensive line, because honestly, that was a pleasant surprise. Coming into this game, the line has been a concern for a lot of us. There were questions about consistency, about whether they could handle pressure against one of the league's stronger defensive fronts, and yet they delivered a solid performance. They protected the quarterback well, allowed minimal pressure, and the number of sacks given up was negligible. This kind of efficiency doesn't happen by accident. The coordination, the timing, and the focus required to play at this level against a top defense is remarkable, especially when you consider the injuries that have affected other parts of the roster. Watching them in action, there were moments when you could see the difference between this game and previous performances. The offensive line was cohesive, communicated well, and managed to create space for both the run and the pass. That's no small feat, and it really set the stage for some of the plays that we'll talk about in a bit. Then there's the quarterback situation. Jones stepped up, showing mobility and poise under pressure. He faced a defense that ranks among the best in the league and managed to move the ball effectively. There were high-yardage throws, a few turnovers, and moments where the decision-making was questionable, but overall, he kept the team in the game. What's interesting is that when you analyze the stats, you see that the Niners were only slightly behind in total yardage compared to the Rams. That tells you something important. The game wasn't lost because of a lack of effort or skill. It was lost because of turnovers at critical moments. A fumble here, an interception there, and suddenly momentum swings drastically against you, even when the rest of your offense is performing admirably. The team's ability to push back from a slow start and remain competitive is a testament to the talent on this roster and the coaching adjustments made mid-game. Another positive that really stands out is the health report post-game. In a league where injury updates are a regular part of every press conference, hearing that the Niners came out without any new significant injuries is huge. Tatum Thun was able to return after a scare, which is critical because his presence on the field impacts both the run game and the defensive responsibilities of other players. Having key players healthy allows the team to execute at full strength and maintain the rhythm that's necessary to compete against elite teams week in and week out. It also gives the coaching staff options, whether it's mixing in new schemes, adjusting personnel, or rotating players to keep everyone fresh. That kind of depth and flexibility is invaluable over the course of a long season. Now, of course, no analysis would be complete without addressing the things that went wrong. Turnovers were the obvious culprit in this game. The first few drives set the tone in a way that was tough to overcome. A 3-and-out followed by a drive that was gaining momentum only to be derailed by a fumble, and then a failed fourth-down attempt that could have shifted the energy entirely. These are the moments where execution matters more than anything else. The team showed flashes of brilliance, with big plays that reminded you why this roster is capable of competing at a high level. But those mistakes highlight the fine line between a win and a loss. Each turnover had a ripple effect on momentum, field position, and confidence. When you're playing against a defense as strong as the Rams, mistakes are magnified. Every error gives them an opportunity to capitalize, and that's exactly what happened here. Even with those setbacks, there were individual performances that stood out. George K.D. had a phenomenal game, making catches that seemed impossible, diving for first downs, and showing the kind of effort and determination that can inspire a team. Plays like that remind you that despite any negatives, the core talent on this team can change a game in a single moment. Brock Purdy though sidelined, was clearly on everyone's mind because of the impact his presence could have had. There's always a balancing act in the NFL between protecting players from injury and getting the talent on the field that can make a difference, and this game highlighted that tension perfectly. The coaching staff's caution is understandable, especially with the long-term view of the season in mind, but fans can't help but wonder what might have been if all key players were available. Defensively, the Niners faced challenges as well. The defensive line, impacted by injuries and rotations, struggled to maintain consistency. Players came in from the practice squad. Others were out due to various reasons, and maintaining rhythm and cohesion was difficult. That lack of continuity can lead to penalties at inopportune moments, missed assignments, and ultimately, big plays for the opposing team. Even so, the defense showed moments of strength, managing to limit certain drives and create opportunities for the offense. The potential is clearly there. It's a matter of combining experience, stability, and execution. When those elements align, this defensive unit can be formidable. Overall, walking away from this game, I feel a mixture of cautious optimism and frustration. The scoreboard shows a loss, but the story behind the numbers is more nuanced. The Niners demonstrated resilience, skill, and the ability to execute against a top-tier defense, and that's something worth noting. Mistakes happened, but the team's ability to recover, adjust, and continue to compete highlights the depth and potential of this roster. The balance between celebrating the positives and learning from the negatives is delicate, but necessary if this team wants to make a deep run in the playoffs. In terms of strategy, the coaching decisions throughout the game raise some eyebrows. Fourth down calls, play calling under pressure, and player rotations all had moments that felt questionable, but also reflected the complexity of managing a team facing injuries, a tough opponent, and the need to keep players fresh. It's easy to critique from the sidelines, but the reality is that balancing risk and reward in a game of this intensity is never straightforward. The team's execution on both sides of the ball showed that they are capable of competing at a high level, even if perfection was just out of reach this week. And speaking of high-level competition, the Niners faced a defense that's currently ranked number 1 in the league. Moving the ball effectively against such a unit is no small accomplishment. The team generated yards, created opportunities, and, even in the face of adversity, showed that they can push the pace and challenge elite defenses. The difference between a close loss and a win often comes down to discipline and minimizing mistakes, which is something to focus on as the season progresses. The ability to execute under pressure, particularly against a team of this caliber, will be a defining factor in whether this roster can achieve its postseason goals. Now, as we move deeper into the game, it's important to highlight how the 49ers responded after the early setbacks. Even when the scoreboard looked daunting, the team didn't fold. They kept executing plays, showing resilience and composure that can't be understated. One of the most encouraging aspects of this game was how the offense continued to find ways to move the ball despite facing relentless pressure from a defense that had been dominating all season. Jones may have thrown an interception and a few questionable passes, but he also made several key completions that kept drives alive and allowed the Niners to stay within striking distance. It's that kind of determination that gives a team confidence and builds momentum over the course of a season. The running game, too, deserves recognition. While the team faced defensive fronts that tried to clog running lanes, there were moments when the backs broke through for significant gains, shifting field position and creating opportunities for the passing game. These runs weren't just about yardage. They were about controlling the tempo, forcing the defense to respect multiple threats, and giving the quarterback options. When the line created space and the backs capitalized, the offense looked cohesive and capable of sustaining drives. It's clear that with some fine-tuning and fewer mistakes, this aspect of the game could become a real weapon for the team in the coming weeks. Defensively, the Niners were tested repeatedly. The Rams came out strong, scoring quickly on their first drives and putting the Niners in a position where they had to respond under pressure. That pressure can often lead to mistakes, and it did in this case, but the team showed flashes of brilliance. There were moments when defensive backs made critical plays, when linebackers read the offense well, and when the line created opportunities for disruption. What stood out was the ability to adjust on the fly. Despite injuries and rotations, the defense remained competitive and created turnovers at key points in the game. That's a sign of a team with discipline and awareness, capable of learning from each series and improving as the game progresses. Special teams also played a role, as they often do in close contests. Field position matters in every game, and the Niners worked to manage punts, returns, and coverage effectively. There were some questionable calls and plays that could have gone differently, but overall, the unit maintained its focus and contributed to keeping the team in a position to compete. In the NFL, special teams are often overlooked until a critical play occurs, and in this game, their consistent effort was crucial. One storyline that emerged after the game was the handling of key players' availability. Brock Purdy's absence was notable, and the explanation given by the coaching staff sparked debate. On one hand, fans want to see their best players on the field whenever possible, especially in games where every point counts. On the other hand, protecting a player from further injury, particularly when considering the long-term goal of a playoff run, makes strategic sense. The balance between immediate impact and long-term health is always tricky, but in this case, it demonstrated that the team is thinking ahead and prioritizing sustained performance over a single contest. Looking at individual performances, George K.D. was a highlight. He made catches that seemed impossible, extended plays with sheer effort, and provided the kind of explosive playmaking that can turn games around. His connection with the quarterback, even with some of the missteps that occurred, showed chemistry and reliability. Jawan Jennings had moments of opportunity, but also faced challenges, with a fumble and a false start impacting the flow of certain drives. These individual moments, both positive and negative, remind us how much a single play can influence momentum in an NFL game. It's also worth considering how coaching decisions impacted the flow of the game. The team faced tough choices on fourth downs, play calls under pressure, and rotations that were influenced by both injuries and the opponent's strengths. Some decisions will be debated endlessly by fans and analysts alike, but the reality is that coaching in the NFL is a constant balancing act. Adjusting in real time to the opponent's tactics, managing player fatigue, and ensuring that key contributors are available for critical moments is incredibly complex. The staff deserves recognition for navigating these challenges while keeping the team competitive. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to 49ers Zone and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the San Francisco 49ers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The NFL rumor mill is buzzing with one of the most intriguing potential moves in recent memory. Word has it that the San Francisco 49ers have made a bold splash in the free agent market, reportedly bringing Mike Evans into the fold as their newest aerial weapon. While the team has not officially detailed the terms of any deal, insiders suggest that the combination of Evans' proven track record and the 49ers' dynamic offensive scheme could create a partnership that strikes fear into opposing defenses. Sources close to the team are hinting that the move is more than just a splashy headline. Mike Evans, long recognized for his ability to dominate in contested catches and stretch the field, is said to fit perfectly with the 49ers' vision of a high-powered, versatile passing attack. The whispers suggest that coaches see Evans as the missing piece to complement their existing roster, someone who can take pressure off the backfield while opening up opportunities for other playmakers. Fans have been speculating for weeks about the team's intentions in the wide receiver market, and the Evans chatter is heating up conversations across social media. Some insiders hint that the team's front office has been quietly negotiating behind the scenes, weighing the impact of adding a receiver with Evans' experience and star power against long-term salary considerations. Rumor has it that teammates are already excited, imagining the big plays and highlight reel moments that could come from pairing a talent like Evans with the 49ers' offensive unit. While no one has confirmed the final details, sources familiar with the situation suggest the locker room vibe could change dramatically with Evans' arrival. Questions swirl around how the team will integrate him into their existing system, whether the quarterback can fully exploit his range, and how defenses will respond to the sudden upgrade at wideout. Analysts are already debating the potential ramifications for the NFC landscape, with some claiming this could be the kind of move that reshapes the division. As the rumor grows, fans and pundits alike are left to imagine the electrifying plays, sideline celebrations, and game-changing touchdowns that could become reality. The buzz is undeniable, and while it's still early in the process, one thing is clear. If the whispers are true, the 49ers just made a statement that could reverberate across the league for years to come. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.